I, 28 female, am getting tired of my BF, 28 male, getting upset over inoffensive things that I say. My guy is prone to becoming offended by anything I say. My buddy Sam wants to get out with us soon, I stated last week. He wants to learn more about you. He's a kind man. We had a day-long argument over it because he said I talked on and on about how Sam is a nice person after it had been 20 minutes or so, but we were in bed chatting and that bothered me. We fought all day, and he blamed me of not being sensitive enough, while I accused him of reading too much into a single statement. It's not the first time this has occurred. We've been dating for 8 months. We were LDR for a long and only had around 5 fights over that period, 6 months. We've been living together for the previous 2 months. I'm in another country and he moved here to live with me. He was discussing last night about how when he returns to his native country, he'll have to find a place to live, and he's not sure whether he'll be able to get temporary lodging. I advised he acquire an apartment and break his lease. I've had to do this previously and will do it again next year. It stinks, but that's how things works, and we have no choice but to accept it. This has turned into a day of us arguing, with him accusing me of taking him for granted, taking his job flexibility. He can work anywhere, not caring enough, not being sensitive enough, you name it. That one remark clearly had a lot of importance to him, despite the fact that I was merely making ideas. I stated my point of view, listened to what he had to say, agreed with him on some aspects and apologized. He went on and on about how I don't appreciate him. This is a recurring motif in our battles. I say something wrong, he gets furious, he criticizes me without really calling me a bad girlfriend. He gets upset that I get upset, he claims he can't tell me how he feels and how everything is always his fault. And he cast himself as the victim. I'm furious. I've done so much for him, and I'm so thankful he's relocated here for me. I never urged him go. He wanted to, and he plans to return in a few months when his tourist visa expires. He's always been the one who claims he has the money, that his work is flexible, and that he wants to be here. Now he accuses me of placing him under duress. As a result of just one statement. I need understanding, perspective, and counsel. Please assist. Update. We got into an argument because I was astonished to find him in the kitchen after only seeing him in the bedroom. "Oh, you're up," I exclaimed. "Is that a problem?" He said, rolling his eyes and shrugging his shoulders. "Of course not, I was simply astonished," I said, and went on to wash the clothes. He exited the kitchen and entered the bedroom. When I attempted to converse to him, he gave me one-word responses. I thought he wanted some alone time, so I walked into the living room and dialed my friend's number. I heard him exit the apartment while I was chatting to her. I walked out to see him playing Pokémon Go approximately 20 minutes after I stopped talking to her. I tried chatting to him normally, but he kept giving me one-word responses and not looking at me. I eventually asked him what was wrong with him. He didn't say anything. I instructed her to inform me. He said that he did not feel comfortable in my residence due to my tone. If you've heard the past conflicts, you'll know that my tone and the wordings of my words provoked him a lot. Even if they were innocuous things like, "I thought you were going on Monday," or anything else that intimidated him and made him defensive. Unlike in the past, when we would get into an argument that would last hours or days because he said I had a tone, I would explain I didn't mean it that way and apologize, and it wasn't enough. This time we got through it relatively undamaged, and due mostly to my patience, if I may say. But later that day he complained about my hesitation, that I could never unwind. That night, I wanted to visit some pals for a few hours since I hadn't seen him in a few weeks and I needed some social time. He claimed everything was okay. He usually says it will be alright, as if I needed his permission. So I headed outside. He writes me about how lonely he feels, how he's going back to his home country soon, how he wishes I hadn't gone out, how we don't have much time left together, how we were meant to spend the whole day together. This was news to me. It takes a lot of work for me to keep my anxiousness at bay and just spend time with my friends before heading home. We debate for 2 hours over it, despite the fact that I point out multiple times that he's repeating himself. and that he claimed he didn't even know he'd feel that way, so how could I foresee his needs? It seemed to me that he did this a lot. Wait until it was too late to fix things, then whine about it and blame it on me. Like when he accused me of abandoning him to fend for himself at a party for an hour. It was 15 minutes. I was monitoring the clock knowing he was insecure and disliked social gatherings. Or when I was with a friend he didn't like the whole time, I talked to my friend for less than 5 minutes the whole night because I had one eye on the clock and the other on my boyfriend. Why didn't he come up and speak to me about it at the party? Why did he hold it over my head after the party was ended and we went home? Or when we returned from a tropical island and he says he wishes we could have rested more? When I booked the vacation and drove, and why didn't it occur to him to tell me at any point he simply wanted to relax somewhere? I thought it was relaxing since he was simply chatting to me and playing Pokémon Go in the vehicle while I was driving, but was it really not? Or the time he was upset at me all day because he believed I was mad at him and I made some comment that he took personally shock and he didn't tell me why he was being silent until hours later and after I pleaded and begged him to tell me. This level of nonsense. You guys, all the time. The day of reckoning has arrived. He has finally left my nation. He's returned to his native nation. He messages me about how he thinks he failed us and how he doesn't want to come home. I answer compassionately but tell him he has to rest since he's been flying for so long and hasn't eaten, and that I wanted to give the conversation of his emotions the time and love it required, which we couldn't because it was 3 a.m. there, and he had to get up for work at 7 a.m. He loses his cool. He retires to his bedroom. He comes to, "It's still freezing outside." Answers in one word. It's become second nature to me. But now I'm sick of it. I chastise him for his actions. I tell him I'm tired of his being fickle with me. He claims I didn't comfort him in the manner he expected. I restate what I already said. He emphasizes that this is not what he expected to hear. Later that day, we split up. We're both depressed. Despite the hard times, we had some happy moments as well, otherwise it would have been simpler to let go. I'm disappointed in myself for admitting that I didn't identify the emotional abuse. I suggested that we try again. He claims we can't. We're both in tears. We both sincerely apologize. We're both grateful for the wonderful moments. The next morning, he comes to, mad I didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. He's upset because he has nothing to show for our relationship. He was furious at all the sacrifices he had made. As an aside, following the final battle I mentioned, he stated to me, "I consider all of my sacrifices and wonder, what have you sacrificed? Are you really worth it?" To give you an idea, it was the most cruel thing anybody ever said to me, and it marked the beginning of the end of our relationship. I opened my house to him, made him vegetarian meals, attempted to introduce him to other people so he wouldn't feel lonely, took him out and traveled the nation with him, tried to cheer him up, arranged all of our trips. It was never enough. What was I giving up? It's my turn, my vitality, my psychological well-being, my personal liberty, my time spent socializing with my pals, everything. It was as if he always anticipated the worst from me and only saw what he wanted to see. So we haven't spoken since he chewed me up and spat me out, accusing me of never listening to his emotions and always blaming him for everything. That I should have informed him how I felt sooner, and that I should have listened to him when he apologized, that he apparently had no intention to actually get better from. Just feel bad that it happened at all and repeat the same behaviors as infinitum. If any of this applies to you, please leave. Why does he do that? Was suggested to me numerous times a day on this sub, so I began reading it. It's making me realize how much I put up with. The harmful habits. Emotional exploitation. I've been suffering from mental weariness. I'm not going to lie. I miss the man he used to be. He's a kind man. The assurances, the affection, the attention, the out-of-the-ordinary loving gestures. But they had disappeared barely a few months into the relationship, after we had exchanged I love yous, and then the jealousy surfaced, the uncertainty, taking issue with what I said and how I stated it. Even my apology was insufficient. His domineering traits. He requested that I not tell my friends about it. Even after the breakup, he begged that I not tell our shared friends about it. I'd never be able to make him happy. Please, please, if you read this and believe it reminds you of your relationship, know that you are capable of doing better. I've been alone for the last 2 weeks, yet the instant we broke up, I felt relieved. I felt as though a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I've reclaimed my time. I can do anything I want, whenever I want, without thinking about how he will feel, how he will respond, how long our battle will go, or how I will handle the anxiety he has caused me. It has the potential to improve. Look up signs of emotional abuse and follow the link to see more than 60 instances. Search for "Why Does He Do That" PDF and read the first 10 pages online. If it speaks to you, know that you've made an important first step toward a happier, healthier self. I'm aware that I still have a long way to go. I'm still trying to persuade myself that it was an emotionally abusive relationship, that I wasn't being dramatic, that I couldn't go back, that I can do better, that my future self deserves more, and that he wasn't the one. I was certain he was. But all I have to do is keep believing my instincts. It's difficult not to message him. I feel pitiful for even thinking about it. I used to be a lot stronger. Maybe I'm still invincible. All I have to do now is get it back, continue to practice, maintain your fortitude. Anyway, thank you for your time. Edit. The overwhelming support. I can't keep up, but I'm reading every comment. Thank you for helping to convince me I'm not crazy. Thank you for sharing your own painful stories. Thank you for reaching out and leaving comments or messages to send hope and love. Thank you for your support. You are all lovely people, and I hope you are all enjoying happy and healthy lives and relationships. Take care of yourselves.